Federal law allows the citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This infringement is called fair use and is allowed for criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody. Satanic Illuminati news is an example of all. I haven't done a Satanic Illuminati news in almost, I guess, over a week now. I've tried every day, but I think I made a mistake, or at least underestimated the power of actually analyzing the headlines every day, and the ability of just doing that to punch you in the gut over and over again. It's a real emotional beatdown. It's become more difficult, so maybe I'll just back up a little bit looking at the news today. A lot of storms have been big news for the last month or so. If they're actually manipulating storms, be careful how I say this. If they, Satanic Illuminati elite, are manipulating the weather in their efforts to engineer our culture and our opinions and deceive us, if they're manipulating the weather as a tool of deception and destruction against the populace, and where does that leave us? Because if that's true, the only people pointing to the truth are being ignored or deemed crazy, liars. Well, I can't imagine what sort of ulterior motive could be assigned to that. I guess some people in the so-called truther community are making money from it. I don't really see how, or think it's too much. It's my opinion that these hurricanes are being used simply to condition us to be afraid and accept what happened. And they're perfectly positioning us like chess pieces on a chessboard. They're surrounding us and cutting us off, making us dependent. Every one of these hurricanes has the effect of making the population in the affected areas totally and completely dependent on government and emergency services. Now, if you just think of that from a strategic point of view, you will see that what they are doing is simply taking over these areas. First the hurricane comes in, and then the government comes in and takes it over, and I mean occupies. If you look at it from a certain angle, this hurricane is absolutely the most effective first strike imaginable. Yes? Evidence. These communities, these people, these states have been thrown into chaos. I mean, if this were an attack, we would all bow down to the brilliance and effectiveness of it, wouldn't we? It won't be long before I announce planks of my platform for the presidential run in 2020. One of them will, of course, deal with single-user video medium. When I ran for president in 2016, the fifth and final plank, and most important one, in my opinion, was to ban all single-user video medium. And I laid out my arguments at that time. I no longer feel it's either correct, feasible, or even desirable to ban anything. I would simply call upon people to turn it off, lay it down, and look up. Instead of going down the hurtful rabbit hole of their purpose in putting these news stories in front of you, which are basically simply combinations of divide and conquer and fear-mongering with many, many different shades of gray in between. Divide and conquer and fear-mongering. What's my response to these? Turn it off, lay it down, and look up. So I'm scrolling down these headlines, and George Soros, international shenanigans, Israel and Arabs. Sex and magazine, joggers defecating in neighborhoods. Each and every one of those articles has its own purpose. And its purpose is basically divide and conquer and fear-monger. Don't believe me, read them in their entirety and ask yourself, what's the major point? What are they trying to say here? What's the main idea? The main idea is what? Usually these articles have a main idea about one person victimized by a certain group of people, or one group of people victimized by a certain... It's something about victimization, someone to blame, and how society is unjust. Once again, divide and conquer and fear-mongering. Divide and conquering because, boy, the longer the United States of America procrastinates in paying reparations for slavery, the longer we'll have to deal with this bullshit. The reason why these social justice warriors have a point is because slavery was a thing and has never been accounted for. We must pay means-tested, heredity-based reparations for slavery now. Means-tested, heredity-based reparations for slavery. Now, what form should those reparations take? I don't know. I'm sure there are people with strong opinions on that, much smarter people than I. Of course, one aspect of the divide and conquer strategy is to increase the width of the chasm between the two sides. I mean, in the 70s you had liberals and conservatives, but they worked together. Reagan and O'Neill, they were famously buddies, right? Yeah. Their political identities were kind of like their jobs. They went and they did them from 9 to 5, and then they could lay them down. But since Newt Gingrich in the 90s and Bill Clinton. And it's been more polarized, of course, to the point where we're supposed to believe these people actually kind of dislike each other because of their politics. It's ridiculous, of course, but that's what we're meant to believe, in an effort to polarize the population. So now, any person who stands up for free speech is a Nazi, and every left-winger has to believe in single-payer health care and reparations for slavery, and it's all whole hog or nothing. They're taking advantage of you. They're dividing you into your own little self-made groups, which you will be happy to police yourself like sheep. They're allowing you to label yourself and helping you find the vocabulary to do so. Because the further apart they can convince you you are, the more afraid and divided you will be. Can't you see that? The further apart they can convince you that you and your neighbor are, the more divided and afraid you will be. I'm sorry to tell all you pop music fans and whatnot, but your idols are being used toward this end. I don't talk about symbology and imagery on the news. I had an experience recently, and this story about fentanyl made me think of it. Who the hell is inventing all these horribly deadly drugs, and why? I mean, didn't we have anesthesia already that was perfectly fine and worked just as fine without some drug 100 billion times stronger than heroin that we could then powderize and put on the street? I mean, why are these drugs being made, number one? Number two, what's up with the healthcare in the system where I can have a buddy who is readily prescribed a very addictive medication by doctors who will not just give him refills. If you're a doctor and you prescribe a medication that is addictive, how is it that you're allowed to withhold refills? Doesn't that just make you a scumbag pusher? Don't prescribe something that's addictive and then withhold refills. Then what's the difference between you and the scum taking advantage of junkies on the street? Just a little tidbit for thought. One of the things that just is enough to piss you off every single day. Boy, they sure put his picture nice and big, didn't they? Wonder why. I'm not gonna say anything. Yeah, why not? This fucker is so deep in Satanic Illuminati that he probably sucked some Satanic Illuminati cock right before he took this picture. Give me a fucking break. All these fucking singers and teen idols and, rap artists and whatever that they push down your throat today are no talent, piece of shit, human, windbag, empty scum who they just simply, all they want is this, I guess, big pictures in the news or whatever. They just want fame and whatever. I'm not sure what they want, but they're getting it. And, the cost is nothing. There's just their soul. So nothing, really. So cost-free getting all this wealth, I guess, and notoriety, whatever they're getting, I don't really know, in exchange for fucking you over. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, these aren't the Illuminati, dumbass. These aren't the masterminds. These are their little fucking toe puppets. They are the ants in the army of the Illuminati. And they're fucking stupid scum who don't know any better, and they would go out and say whatever the fuck they were told to say. Now I'm talking about, oh my God, everyone from Bruce Springsteen to Jay-Z. You get me? Forget about the music industry. Forget about the film industry. Forget about the Hollywood everything. It's all dead. It has been dead, I would say, probably since Stanley Kubrick was killed. So why is this fucker and Annie Lennox being pulled out to tell us how to think? Think about it. What do you think? Huh? Fucking moron. See, this is what makes doing the Satanic Illuminati news so difficult. I'm forced to face facts every day. I'm forced to face the fact that they are fucking... Are they getting away with it, I wonder? I mean, are people that stupid? Do you believe these stories, or do you see right through them? Do you believe in global warming because Annie Lennox tells you to? Do you believe that we don't need to work, that really the problem with our country is its own inherent evilness? I mean, if you do, you have been successfully divided and conquered, and they have won as far as you're concerned. As far as you're concerned, they win. Dumbass. That's why it's so hard to look at the news, because I'm asking myself all the time, are they winning? Do people believe this bullshit? Surely not. But when I talk to people, like normal people, supposedly, yeah, they kind of do. When I point out the fact that, even though we're in a hurricane decline, we've had an incredible number of very strong and unnatural acting hurricanes in the past month, they say, yeah, well, global warming. Like a dumbass parrot. Did I say that clearly? Like a dumb ass parrot. So perhaps doing the Satanic Illuminati news is just simply too ball busting for me. Maybe I just can't hack it.